Joining me now is someone on the front lines of the effort to push back against Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is a Democrat of Texas. She's a member of the House Oversight Committee on DOJ. Congresswoman, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
This is a tricky one. Now, you have the benefit of you were not a member of Congress in the first Trump administration. You were in government, but this is what's your take on what resistance looks like for you, for me, for society, for those lawyers at the DOJ? What are you supposed to do?
Yeah. So, first of all, hats off to each and every person who literally said that I have some ethics about myself and therefore I'm just going to resign. That's as it relates to the DOJ as well as every other agency. The scary part about this, though, is that only his lackeys will be left running our governmental agencies, whatever is left of those governmental agencies. When I think about resistance, though, I've had a lot of conversations. And one of the things that keeps coming up is how the former governor of this state was consistently doing daily briefings in the midst of COVID because we couldn't trust anything that Donald Trump was saying about the pandemic.
Right.
So everyone tuned in to really what almost was like the shadow president, the guy that was going to give us facts and not tell us to inject ourselves with bleach.
Right.
I think that we need to do something similar to that because all they're going to do, him and his new press secretary, is spew lies upon lies upon lies. We need to daily brief the American people. That's number one. Number two, a lot of people are talking about, you know what, we just are looking forward to the midterms. We only need 3 more seats. I'm sure everybody's tired of getting emails, text messages, phone calls, trying to raise money. But the reality is that we have an opportunity right now. I know that a lot of people look at these seats that are available, which there's going to be a total of 3, and they say these are deep red seats. But here's the thing. We saw that in the state of Iowa, they swung a seat 27 points so that a Democrat could win. I say we have nothing to lose. We need to go out. We need to talk to those people that finally understand that the only mission that Donald Trump has is making sure that he can line his pockets, line Elon's pockets, and any other billionaire, all at our expense. It's not just going to be the people you dislike that are going to miss out on their Medicare, Medicaid, or their Social Security. Or down in the state of Florida, where 2 of these seats are, they are talking about getting rid of FEMA. It is time to wake up, and it doesn't mean that you're a Democrat if you vote democratically.
So this is where I want to get to. Who's the audience to swing some of these states? Is it progressives who understand that their priorities are being crushed, or is it people who voted Republican to whom you say, you didn't vote for this, did you?
Exactly.
You didn't vote for Elon Musk and a guy named Big Balls to have your documentation. How does that message get out there in a way that entire audience hears it?
I think that you're right. Definitely the entire audience. I just don't know how many progressives exist in Matt Gaetz' former district, right? But I do think that there are farmers in that district, farmers that are concerned because they rely upon monies as it relates to USAID and other monies that are now being dismantled. And it means that you may lose your family farm. It may be bought up by a corporate organization. And so I think just having very real conversations, we've seen people who have talked about, well, we don't want you firing the people at the VA, or maybe it's somebody that has to fly all the time and they're concerned because we have a record number of planes literally falling out of the sky because he decided he was going to appoint some guy from Fox to be over transportation. But at the end of the day, there were those that never believed that we could end up with 2 senators in the state of Georgia, and we did. There were those that never believed we could have a Democrat representing Alabama, and in that special election, we did. So I think if there's any point in time that the people should rise up and figure out where should I focus my attention, it's on these special elections, and it's having real conversations on the doors with real people talking about what's really happening and not the lies that they're putting out there.
I want to go back to this idea. There are a lot of people frustrated about where a lot of Democrats are in this mix. You're out there a lot. We've talked several times. You've got a take on everything that happens. This concept about a daily briefing. It's we've talked about whether we should act more like a parliamentary system here, where the opposition's got a job to do every day, and you see them as often as you see a prime minister. What does that look like? Have you had this conversation with a lot of your colleagues about how this looks?
I've been trying to work through it because I think when we compare it to what was happening in COVID, it was just one subject.
Right.
And for us as Democrats, we like to have experts. We don't just want to talk in mouth, right? And so it's a matter of how do we know what's coming to make sure that we've got the right expert on hand. But I think that it would be great if at least maybe every Friday we have a different attorney general or the same one that talks about the status of the cases, right? I think that there's things that we can do. We can just maybe decide on what days we're going to have transportation, and maybe we can pull on Secretary Buttigieg to come through and say, this is the day that I will pick up and I will talk about what's happening at FAA. I think we also have to start having some field hearings. We've got to go into their territory. We've got to explain to people in rural America, the reason that you don't have hospitals is because of their policies. The reasons you're not going to have schools is because of their policies. The reason that you had access to more jobs, more health care, as well as the next level of farming was because Democrats were the ones that wanted to make sure that you could have broadband access. We've got to start having the conversations instead of just ceding the territory, because the reality is that right now they're trying to cut SNAP benefits. You know who uses more SNAP benefits than anybody else? It's rural America. It's not urban America. We have a story for every single person who's not a billionaire in this country, and it's time for us to tell it.
So you had an interesting story, which I wasn't going to bring up because my parents watched this show, but you were involved in a hearing with Elon Musk about condoms. Right? Do you remember this whole?
It wasn't with Elon. Elon, if you're watching, come through, boo, because you haven't shown up to the Doge subcommittee yet.
Right. And you called him out at that subcommittee.
Yes.
But this became weird because Buddy Carter, your colleague from Georgia, started talking about how we were giving condoms to the Taliban. And then Donald Trump himself, then it became about Gaza, but that would have to have been about 7,000 condoms per person. And then he said it was just Hamas, which none of it made sense. But it caused a lot of people to have to run around and follow the story and find out that we give condoms as part of USAID to prevent the spread of HIV to a place in Mozambique called Gaza province.
Correct.
This is the nonsense we have to deal with here.
It's not even just nonsense. It's just that they're idiots. I mean, these are the same guys, remember, as it relates to our nuclear stockpile, right? They're like, oh, wait a minute. We needed those guys. Oh, can we get them back? Oh, we don't know how to. Like, I don't know how anyone in this country can look at this administration and feel some semblance of any type of confidence, right? And this is all at the same time. Like, Elon doesn't want us talking about the fact that he has received almost $1 billion worth of new contract money from the U.S. government in just 2 weeks. $400 million for Tesla and over $300 million for SpaceX. This is nothing more than a money grab. He's not out there trying to save money for the American people. That's not what he's doing. He's lining his pockets. And at the same time, he's outraging people who don't know exactly how we spend our money and how it benefits us to make sure that things like HIV and AIDS doesn't become the worldwide pandemic that it used to be. Exactly. Same thing with everything else that we're dealing with, because now we know Ebola was found where? Here. In New York. I mean, we need people that are experts, not idiots that play on Fox News or play on the internet.